Before The Hunger Games went to the silver screen, it was a series of dystopian novels. The films were impressive, but the makeup and casting departments took some liberties when creating on-screen versions of the characters. Here's what the characters should have looked like based on the books. Katniss Everdeen is the heroine of the Hunger Games series. She volunteers as the female tribute from her district to save her younger sister, then goes on to win the event and eventually take down the corrupt system of power. She was played by Jennifer Lawrence in the movies, and for the most part, she looked pretty similar to the descriptions in the books. According to the novels, Katniss had black hair, gray eyes, and olive skin, a coloring she described as the, quote, seam look. In the film, Lawrence had dark brown hair, but the eyes and skin were pretty spot on. One obvious difference was that the book version of Katniss was described as being notably gaunt. After all, she grew up in District 12, where food and money were scarce. It turns out Lawrence was asked to lose weight for the film, but she refused. She told Sci-Fi Now, "I was like, we have control over this image. We have control over this role model. Why would we make her something unobtainable and thin?" Despite these little differences, it's safe to say that fans of the series could not have asked for a better actor to take on the role. Gale Hawthorne is Katniss's first love and longtime friend. In the movies, he was played by Liam Hemsworth, and you couldn't really ask for a more handsome actor. However, the books describe Gale as being even more dreamy than Hemsworth, if that were possible. He was described as, quote, too handsome, too male, and not the least bit willing to smile and play nice for the cameras. Gale is also described as having dark hair and gray eyes. In fact, Gale and Katniss are said to, quote, resemble each other. In the books, Gale is said to be a staggering 6 foot 3 inches tall, and we think he may have been a little pale in the movies based on the book's description, and his hair may have been a shade too light, but other than that, Hemsworth pretty much fulfills the hunk-like description of the books. Peeta Mellark was the male tribute from District 12. He and Katniss pretend to have a love affair to gain sympathy from the crowd and eventually fall in love in real life, too.
I volunteer as tribute.
In Collins's book, Peeta is described as having blue eyes and being of, quote, medium height with a stocky build and having ashy blonde hair that falls in waves over his forehead. Looking at Josh Hutcherson, who played Peeta in the films, he looks pretty close to the original descriptions of the character. He has the right build and the right hair color. However, in the films, Peeta had brown eyes and a much shorter swept-back hairstyle. As it turns out, Hutcherson would have changed even more about his look if he'd had the chance. He told Cinema Blend that the blonde hair ended up being pretty annoying, saying, "Having to do touch-ups all the time and get my hair re-dyed and bleach was not my thing at all." The Hunger Games would not have been complete without the amazing Effie Trinket. This absurd character embraces the opulent, bizarre style trends of the capital. She wears ridiculous wigs, paints her face, and dresses up in some truly avant-garde outfits. In the books, Effie is described as having a, quote, scary white grin, pinkish hair, and a spring green suit. At one point, Katniss notes, her pink hair must be a wig because her curls have shifted slightly off-center.
Peeta Mellark.
In the movies, the makeup and costume department took this description as inspiration and ran with it. While some of the details may have been a little off, they definitely captured the spirit of the character. As makeup artist V. Neal told Academy Art News, "We wanted her looks to be out of the norm, avant-garde, high-fashion makeup. Some were very deconstructed, some were just bizarre looking. I just wanted them to be creative and fun and really think out of the box." Haymitch Abernathy is an old winner of the Hunger Games from District 12 who is assigned as Katniss and Peeta's mentor.
Give me a chance to wake up, sweetheart. This mentoring is very taxing stuff.
In the book, he is, quote, a paunchy middle-aged man who is often drunk. The books also hinted that Haymitch had been quite good-looking in his youth and that he had dark curly hair and the same gray eyes as Katniss and Gale. In the movies, Haymitch was portrayed by Woody Harrelson. It's clear that with this character, the makeup designers took some liberties. In the movies, Haymitch had straight light blonde hair and blue eyes, looking a little more like Peeta than Katniss or Gale. However, the team certainly captured the drunken, disheveled look that was conveyed in the books, though he could have been more paunchy. Cinna is Katniss and Peeta's stylist. His defining feature in the books is his, quote, normal appearance compared to the others in the capital. Katniss describes him as having, quote, close-cropped hair that looks to be its natural shade of brown. The only artificial part of his appearance is, quote, metallic gold eyeliner that has been applied with a light hand.
Remember, I'm still betting on you, Girl on Fire.
Katniss notes, it brings out the flecks of gold in his green eyes. In the films, Cinna is played by Lenny Kravitz. Cinna looked pretty much perfect thanks to the shimmering gold dash of eyeliner. apparently Kravitz loved the look. Unlike the book description, the film version of Cinna had dark brown eyes rather than green eyes. Additionally, he's younger in the books than Kravitz. Primrose Everdeen is Katniss's younger sister. She is initially selected as the tribute for District 12, but Katniss offers to go in her place.
I volunteer as tribute!
In the book, Primrose doesn't have the look that Katniss and Gale share. As Katniss says in her narration, "My mother and Prim with their light hair and blue eyes always look out of place." Overall, the movies captured Primrose pretty well. Played by Willow Shields, Primrose was truly as lovely as the Primrose in the books. However, unlike the book version, the movie version of Primrose had brown eyes and sandy blonde hair. Joanna Mason is the District 7 tribute who returns for the second installment in the Hunger Games series. In the book, Joanna is depicted as being deceptively strong, but able to pretend to be meek. She has, quote, spiky hair and wide-set brown eyes. In the movie, Joanna Mason is played by Jenna Malone. While the actress certainly captures the character's personality, the production team went in a different direction for her hair. In the movie, it was shoulder length and straight rather than spiky. Malone's natural personality more than made up for these physical differences. As she told Marie Claire, "I think I have the same kind of fierceness in my character Joanna when it comes to protecting my family. She's got some deep-rooted issues, but I love her strength and humor." Finnick Odair is another winner of the Hunger Games who returns to compete again in the second installment. In his first appearance, he is described as being, quote, the handsome bronze-haired guy from District 4. He is also said to have famous sea green eyes. Katniss even notes at one point, "I can't argue that Finnick isn't one of the most stunning, sensuous people on the planet."
Do you want a sugar cube?
In the movies, the handsome Finnick was played by Sam Claflin. We have to admit it's pretty good casting. Claflin, like Finnick, is certainly stunning with his sculpted, well-proportioned features. Unlike Finnick, Claflin has blonde rather than bronze hair. He also had deep blue eyes in the movie rather than green. President Snow was the main villain in the Hunger Games series. He ruled over all of the districts and orchestrated the Hunger Games.
We'll turn their advance into a celebration of suffering.
In the books, he is described as being a, quote, small white-haired man with snake-like eyes and puffy lips. In the movies, the character was played by Donald Sutherland. For the most part, Sutherland looked pretty similar to the book's description. He had the white hair and he was fairly small. However, we think the team could have done a better job on his eyes and lips. As it turns out, the makeup team tried out other looks but decided on this one in the end. As makeup artist V. Neal explained, "I sat and worked with him an entire day, and after we tried all of these things on him, I said, you know what, Donald, what if we just make your eyebrows white, all white to match your hair? And I said, and make you really kind of, really jolly looking, almost like Santa Claus." President Coin is a character from District 13 who ultimately takes over for President Snow and becomes another autocratic villain. In the books, she's described as being around 50 years old with, quote, gray hair that falls in an unbroken sheet to her shoulders and gray eyes. As Katniss says, they're very pale, as if almost all of the color has been sucked away. The color of slush that you wish would melt away. Actress Julianne Moore looked pretty close to this description, especially when it came to her hair. However, we think they could have highlighted the gray in her eyes just a little more. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favorite franchise characters are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.